Over the past weeks, the global spotlight has been firmly fixed on the deepening crisis in Bangladesh. A country once stable has been thrown into turmoil as student protests have culminated in the overthrow of the government led by Sheikh Hasina. Many experts believe this event could have far-reaching implications for Bangladesh's future governance, as well as for neighboring countries, particularly India, which is already grappling with its own security challenges. The pressing question is, how will the crisis in Bangladesh impact India? Welcome to Historical Arrow. Tensions across the entire border. Following Sheikh Hasina's forced exile and the dissolution of parliament, the Bangladeshi military declared the formation of an interim government led by Nobel laureate economist Muhammad Yunus, known for his work in uplifting the poor. Additionally, former Prime Minister Khaleda Zia, leader of the opposition Bangladesh Nationalist Party, BNP, which has historically been antagonistic towards Hasina's Awami League, has been released from detention. These developments in Dhaka are having significant repercussions on India's internal and external security. First, we must discuss India's border, where numerous conflicts demand resolution. The first of these is the border dispute between India and China in the region that New Delhi refers to as the state of Arunachal Pradesh, which China claims as part of South Tibet. China has long renamed this area on its maps and has issued visas to Indian residents there as a way of asserting its sovereignty. Tensions between India and China escalated from mid-March to the end of March 2024. Following a statement by U.S. State Department spokesperson Vedant Patel, affirming that Arunachal Pradesh is Indian territory. The potential for border conflict between India and China is ever present, representing a perennial security threat that India has had to confront for many years. Next is the fraught relationship between India and Pakistan, a close ally of China. Nearly a century has passed since their partition, yet the two nations continue to grapple with unresolved tensions. In 1999, they nearly reached the brink of nuclear war. Since 2014, under Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership, India has adopted a hard-line stance towards Pakistan, as evidenced by his decision to cancel a 2017 visit to Islamabad. In February 2019, the two sides exchanged fire across the border and even shot down each other's aircraft. 6 months later, India revoked the special status of Jammu and Kashmir. From this, we observe that 3 of India's 4 eastern border nations either harbor hostility towards India or face internal instability. Bangladesh, however, has remained a stable neighbor and partner for many years. Yet, Bangladesh is now confronting one of its most severe political crises since gaining independence from Pakistan, and its future remains uncertain. The abrupt resignation of Bangladesh's Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina, a close ally of India, has left New Delhi in a precarious position, directly affecting the nation's future trajectory. Many experts believe that this South Asian power might soon face significant shifts in regional power dynamics and border instability. Emerging challenges for India. With the pro-India government of Sheikh Hasina overthrown and her seeking asylum in a third country, India now faces the immediate challenge of establishing relations with Bangladesh's new government. During her 15-year tenure, Hasina worked to foster and normalize India-Bangladesh relations, a process that took years to bring the two historically estranged nations closer in areas such as economics, energy, and defense. However, the ongoing crisis threatens to erase these diplomatic achievements. India must quickly find a way to build ties with the newly established interim government led by the military in Bangladesh. Yet, at present, the diplomatic direction and potential impact of Bangladesh's new government on India remain unclear and seemingly undefined. Additionally, during Hasina's rule, her close relationship with India led many opposition groups in Bangladesh, such as the BNP and the Islamist Jamaat-e-Islami, to harbor anti-India sentiments. These factors place India in a position where it must invest in robust diplomatic efforts to mitigate border security risks and curb the rise of anti-India sentiments in Bangladesh, lest it lose another key ally. However, this is merely the beginning of a political and diplomatic crisis. On the military and security front, through its neighborhood first policy, India has skillfully cultivated a strong defense relationship with Bangladesh, including agreements on defense exports, military capacity building, joint exercises, and personnel training. Although the Bangladeshi military commander is reportedly sympathetic to India, The influence of the BNP and Islamist groups may strain defense relations between the two nations, effectively halting existing military agreements. On the trade front, Bangladesh is currently India's largest trading partner in the region, while India is Bangladesh's second largest partner after China. In the fiscal year 2023-2024, bilateral trade between the two nations reached $13 billion. The two countries have also been discussing a potential free trade agreement, FTA. However, the ongoing unrest could jeopardize infrastructure projects crucial for India's FTA with Bangladesh. With Hasina's government no longer in power, the India-Bangladesh FTA may dissolve, depriving India of a lucrative market of nearly 175 million people. Furthermore, Bangladesh plays a vital role in India's textile industry. It is a key market for Indian textile exports and a critical production base for globally exported garments. Indian textile companies are heavily reliant on Bangladesh for raw materials, labor, machinery, and technology. Therefore, the current situation in Bangladesh is causing significant concern within India's textile industry, which must urgently seek new markets, a move likely to drive up costs. During her leadership, Hasina decisively quelled any anti-India forces and curbed the rise of Islamic extremism, keeping the Bangladeshi military confined to barracks, a significant relief for India. However, her government's ouster has brought deep concerns to India, particularly regarding the safety of Indian-origin citizens in Bangladesh. Among Bangladesh's nearly 175 million people, approximately 8%, or over 10 million, are of Indian Hindu minority descent. This has raised fears in the Indian government that these individuals could be targeted, potentially facing political persecution for their support of Hasina's government. In the past, this group has been a target during periods of political unrest, especially during Islamist uprisings in the 1990s. In a speech to the Indian Senate, Foreign Minister Subramanyam Jaishankar expressed grave concern over attacks on minority groups, particularly Hindus, whose homes and places of worship have been destroyed in Bangladesh. Jaishankar noted that about 19,000 Indian nationals currently reside in Bangladesh, including 9,000 students, many of whom have been forced to leave due to the protests. Northeast India, a vital security issue. Security in Northeast India, encompassing the states of Assam, Meghalaya, Manipur, Mizoram, Nagaland, Tripura, Sikkim, and the disputed Arunachal Pradesh, as well as parts of West Bengal, is the most pressing concern for India amid the ongoing crisis in Bangladesh. This region, home to nearly 40 million people and covering over 262,000 square kilometers, remains partially inaccessible to India without passing through Bangladesh. In November 2023, the jointly constructed Akwara-Agartala rail link and the Khulna-Mongla port were inaugurated, reducing transport time for goods and travel services between northeast India and the mainland. However, the current disruption in India-Bangladesh relations has hindered access to northeast India. Another issue is the region's intense border dispute with China. If India-Bangladesh relations do not improve to the level seen during Hasina's government, transporting goods, troops, and military equipment to this area will become exceedingly costly. The only viable routes for accessing northeast India without passing through Bangladesh are via the Bay of Bengal, though this would require Myanmar's cooperation, a country currently facing even more severe internal instability than Bangladesh, or through northern West Bengal, transiting via Bhutan, which is a longer route and may not receive Bhutan's consent. As a result, much of northeast India, except for parts of West Bengal, is effectively isolated from the mainland. Additionally, there are suspicions of Chinese involvement in some violent incidents related to the Muslim community in the region, further heightening tensions. Bangladesh bears the brunt. While India is scrambling to forge new diplomatic paths with Bangladesh's interim government, Bangladesh itself stands to suffer the most. The garment industry, one of Bangladesh's leading sectors and a major source of foreign currency, has been indefinitely shut down following a request from the Bangladesh Garment Manufacturers and Exporters Association. In 2023, Bangladesh exported $38.4 billion worth of garments, accounting for 83% of the country's total export income. The indefinite closure of this industry could severely destabilize Bangladesh's economy, cutting off a significant revenue stream. Competing markets like Thailand and Vietnam are poised to benefit greatly. Michael Kugelman, director of the South Asia Institute at the Wilson Center, notes that while the interim government's immediate goal is to restore law and order, it must also devise a plan to address economic tensions, particularly employment issues, which were the catalyst for the protests. Failure to do so could result in a fate similar to Hasina's government, with more protests to follow, inevitably putting Bangladesh in further peril.